Let's see. I didn't post any videos yesterday because I was working. But I could probably get a few in today before I go back to work again at 3. Now to talk about this, the fake president Donald Trump's top government experts now say that the pandemic is entering a new phase as it invades the rural heartland, and they can't say how long this is going to last. With millions of kids nowhere near going back to school and the economy reeling from a 33% annualized contraction in the second quarter, the months ahead are stretching into what looks like an endless crisis as 45 tweets make America hate again and spends his weekends constantly on the golf course. Top administration officials in recent days have repeatedly delivered information and warnings that directly contradict Trump's upbeat message on Friday about the virus. We'll get rid of it, we'll beat it, and it will be soon. Obviously not. Amid this grim outlook, the administration and Capitol Hill Democrats are deadlocked on a plan to extend the federal unemployment payments to millions of Americans who have lost their jobs during the lockdown. Trump finally turned his ire at Dr. Deborah Birx on Monday morning after the coronavirus task force coordinator acknowledged America's grim reality in the battle against the pandemic over the weekend. She had previously avoided both a raw assessment of the virus and therefore the fake president's wrath. Trump tweeted Monday morning that Birx had taken the bait after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had criticized Birx for offering what the California Democrat considered rosy and a misleading assessment. In order to counter Nancy, Deborah took the bait and hit us pathetic. Birx had delivered a series of stunning warnings on CNN's State of the Union 5 months ago into a pandemic that the fake president once said posed no threat to Americans, but has now killed more than 155,000 of them. What we are seeing today is different from March and April. It is extraordinarily widespread. It's into the rural as equal urban areas, Birx, the White House coronavirus task force coordinator, told CNN's Dana Bash. Birx even suggested that some Americans in multi-generational families should start wearing masks in their home and assume that they already have the disease. She did not reject the warning by the former Federal Drug Administrator Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb that there could be 300,000 coronavirus deaths by the end of the year, and saying, basically, she said that anything is possible. To everybody who lives in a rural area, you're not immune or protected from this virus, Birx said. Her comments came after her colleague, Dr. Anthony Fauci, told a House committee on Friday that it was unclear how long this crisis will last. But the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention told Americans to brace for an average of 1,000 deaths a day for the next month. And while there are some signs that infections have plateaued in some belt states in the last week, albeit at high levels, Birx's words suggest new epicenters are looming, a situation hardly consistent with Trump's description of embers of infection. The fake president speaks optimistically about a coming vaccination, though experts say it could still be months away, and boasts about other advances in therapeutics and of building thousands of ventilators. With the horrible statistics of the pandemic are relentless, with 1,000 Americans dying every day, and the administration response appears as it has from the start, short of the scale needed to beat back the worst public health crisis that that America has faced in 100 years. With the vaccine still lacking, Birx also warned that too many Americans were not taking the virus sufficiently seriously. In another jarring disconnect from the fake president's messaging, across America right now, people are on the move. As I've traveled around the country, I saw all of America moving. I think it's our job as public health officials to be able to get a message to each American that says, if you have chosen to go on vacation into a hotspot, you really need to come back and protect those with comorbidities and assume you're infected. Despite the worsening crisis, there was no sign of a new administration approach or evidence of an effort to set up the massive testing and tracing nationwide program that experts say is needed to finally get a handle on the crisis. But surprisingly, Birx said that the administration had already re-examined its approach. I think the federal government reset about 5 to 6 weeks ago when we saw this saw this starting to happen across the South, she told Bash. At the start of a rough 6-week period that saw the virus surge unimpeded through Florida, Texas, Arizona, and other states that Trump pressured to open before the pathogen was under control, the dumbass vice squatter, Mike Pence, who leads the coronavirus task force, declared in a Wall Street Journal op-ed that the U.S. is winning the fight and there isn't a second wave. Technically, there is a second wave, and we're not winning the fight on that. Birx has faced criticism for becoming too compliant with the administration's political line, rather than following the science where it leads. Birx defended herself on the State of the Union after Pelosi said she didn't have confidence in the veteran public health official because she was an appointee of a fake president who was spreading disinformation. I've never been called Pollyannish or scientific or non-data driven, Burke said on State of the Union, but Burks contradicted the fake president's call for schools to open everywhere, saying that there was a high caseload and active community spread where people shouldn't go to bars or have house parties. They should distance learn. They should safely social distancing learning at this moment so we can get this epidemic under control. Another senior administration official involved in the fight against the pandemic, testing czar, um, Administrator Brett Guerrero had contradicted the fake president's fresh touting of hydroxychloroquine last week as a potential treatment for COVID-19. At this point in time, there has been 5 randomized, controlled placebo, controlled trials that do not show any benefit to hydroxychloroquine. Guerrero has said on NBC's News Meet the Press, I think most physicians and prescribers are evidence-based and they're not influenced by whatever is on Twitter or anything else, he said, and the evidence just doesn't show that hydroxychloroquine is effective at all. And far from showing that he understands the depth of the calamity and has a plan to address it, Trump spent the weekend spreading lies and disinformation in between 2 trips to his golf course in Virginia, again underscoring how he has declined to adopt the leadership role that would have been expected from a traditional president during a grave national crisis. He again falsely claimed that the only reason there are more cases of the virus is because the U.S. is doing new testing. He gloated about the China virus outbreaks in nations where reopenings have caused viral spikes and where leaders did a better job in quelling the virus than he did in the United States. Trump also claimed falsely that the media was not reporting on such hotspots in the world, which they are actually. The fake president also launched a new attack on Fauci, who said last week that the reason Europe did better containing the initial pandemic was because it shut down far more of its economy that the fake president allowed in the U.S. Trump's tweets followed a report by Vanity Fair last week that Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, dumbass Kushner, worked on a secret national testing plan last spring before the approach was rejected, reportedly for political reasons. In favor of putting the responsibility for fighting the virus on individual governors, since then, tens of thousands of Americans have died, and experts say that there is not enough sufficient testing capacity to flatten the infection curve of the virus. Many test results are coming back far too slowly to be of any use controlling the spread of the disease, and the White House says the premise of the article is wrong and mistakes the facts. Hopes that a new coronavirus stimulus program could soon come to the rescue of millions of Americans who rely on the federal unemployment payments to pay for food and rent were dashed as both sides in the talks dug in on Sunday. Pelosi, the Treasury Secretary, white supremacist Steve Mnuchin, and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows are due to meet for further talks on Monday. Pelosi rejected the administration's argument that the $600 unemployment benefit was stopping Americans from returning to work, but did not specifically say it was a deal breaker. The $600 a week is essential. It's essential for American working families, and again to condescend to disrespect their motivation is so amazing. How insistent the Republicans are about a working family and their $600, and how cavalier they are about how much money is going out. The speaker said Mnuchin argued that the White House had proposed a 1-week unemployment benefit extension of $600 as negotiations continue, but that had been rebuffed by the Democrats. Without giving details, the Treasury Secretary also said that he and Meadows made 3 to 4 other offers to the Democrats to deal with enhanced unemployment. The unemployment should be tied to some percentage of wages, and the fact that we had a flat number was only an issue of an emergency. Mnuchin said that there are cases where people were overpaid, there are cases where people are underpaid. The issue is we need to come up with an agreement to extend this. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said Sunday that while good progress was made in the talks between the White House and Democrats, they're not even close to an agreement yet. That's not very reassuring. This is not very reassuring for struggling Americans whose unemployment statistics expired last week. Yeah, true. So if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Random Mike, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.